Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about the AEW Redemption 2026 review. Oh, God. We started the show at 7 o'clock p.m. And yes, I am drinking a beer right now as I'm talking to you here in audio. I have to at this point. Real simple, guys. We started this show at 7 o'clock. The show went 5 fucking hours. It's almost 12 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday night. This guy is he's a mental patient. Tony Khan is a fucking mental patient. The man needs psychological therapy. The show is brand new. It's a first ever edition of Redemption, with a pay-per-view main event that had no purpose being the main event of this show because they did a last minute change of the title because MJF wanted to give the title to Omega at Beach Break instead of Redemption. Now, why he wanted to do that, I have no idea. I guess he wanted to help AEW out with their ratings, and maybe that's the reason why he went that way. Plus, it was a brand new pay-per-view that was brought up out of this spear of the moment, and he was like, nah, this is not going to have that many good pay-per-view buys, so what's the point in me putting my body on the line when I can just do this and help the company out with the ratings instead? That's about the only explanation I can come up with. Because we haven't seen him since he lost the title 2 weeks ago. That's number one. Number two, we ended the pay-per-view after the match was over with Kevin Knight and Omega with the possibility of Will Ospreay finally pulling the trigger. This motherfucker, this Tony Khan is a fucking retard. You had him with the Death Riders this entire time. You had the Death Riders portraying baby faces and heels simultaneously. We couldn't get, after all this time of these two fucking douchebag groups, between Will Ospreay being one and the Death Riders being the other, working together to get Will Ospreay to the promised land, to get him to be a different Will Ospreay. We couldn't have that trigger pulled at this event. We couldn't do that. We had to wait. We have to wait until All In. I think that's when they're going to pull this trigger and we're going to get what we're looking for. At least that's what I'm hoping, because if Will Ospreay does not turn heel, by the time All In is over, folks, this whole entire experiment that they did was a complete and utter waste of everyone's fucking time and makes absolutely no damn sense. Why, if they're doing a spot like this at the end of the match of the main event, where Kenny Omega's laying there like a lump of shit, why aren't we seeing Will Ospreay taking that chair, acting like he's going to protect Kenny Omega, and just start cracking Omega with that fucking, the chair, after he knocked fucking Jon Moxley out of the ring. That might have been after he dropped the chair. I'm not sure. But my point being is, or hit him with the fucking title. Hit him with the championship as he's pretending to hand it over to him. Hit him in the fucking face. No, we don't get no heel turn. Nothing. Nada. Zero. 5 fucking hours of nothing on this show. Okay, Chris Jericho, Tommaso Ciampa. That was a good match. I enjoyed myself. Andrade El Idolo winning his first ever AEW championship. The AEW national title. Not much, but at least it's something. And it was a decent match. I'm going to give them credit. Mark Davis, I think he's been doing a very decent job as a singles competitor, not as a tag team partner. Which him and Kyle Fletcher were tag team specialists. So, that's what he's known for more of doing than being an actual singles competitor. Willow Nightingale and Tekla. What a fucking horrible ending. That ending sucked. And I'll be going back to the Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega. I feel as if we are watching Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega reenact what we're seeing with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes and CM Punk at SummerSlam this year. This sucks. This really, really sucks. Wrestling this week has been by far the absolute worst wrestling I have ever seen in my life. This is terrible. Yeah, I said, for me, AEW Dynamite this past week was okay. It was an improvement compared to last week. But still, it was a slight improvement of last week's episode. And last week's episode was fucking horrendous. It was not all that good. It wasn't that exciting. It didn't keep me in tune. And it sucked. This episode took it a step a little bit above that. Okay, great. You got my attention. You made me a little bit more excited. Okay, I'm sitting through this show for almost 5 miserable fucking hours watching this shit. Wishing, praying for it to end. It was like being tortured to death. That's what this show felt like. Torture. This show had no business going almost 5 fucking hours. None! Generally, most of the time for a normal show for AEW's pay-per-views, they go about 4. Maybe 3.5. But 5 hours? For a debut pay-per-view that had a terrible main event set up for it. The build for it was stupid as fuck. And then you give us the ending after the main event was over for this spot. TK, Tony Khan has to have his head examined. Almost 5 hours with no super duper surprise. None. We got Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay looking like Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. This sucks. This wrestling shit sucks. I honestly, a lot of times, JD from New York 206, who I really admire his work and what he offers to the table in YouTube content when it comes to pro wrestling, he says a lot of times that the nerdy wrestling fans ought to go outside and touch some grass. I think all of us, from WWE fans to AEW fans to any kind of wrestling fan, need to drop this shit like a bad habit. These shows are terrible. Neither one are trying to produce a good show. Tony Khan, I cut him a little slack. I don't think he deliberately goes ahead and gives a shit. I just think he doesn't know what he's doing. I think he needs someone to step in creatively and do that portion of the job that he can trust to make and elevate these ratings. Because, honestly, the fucking door is wide open for AEW to walk through. Walk through the not forbidden door. Walk through the door of success and speed past WWE. Creatively, economically, fan base wise, all of it. But they won't do it. They just won't fucking do it. He won't do it. Why? I have no idea. If you didn't, If I didn't know any better, you'd think that maybe he's trying to sabotage wrestling too. But he claims he loves wrestling. As you can tell, he has different styles of pro wrestling, hardcore wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, luchador wrestling. I mean, this guy's got all kinds of variety of different styles of wrestling in his promotion. Which is perfectly fine. I have no issue with it. But what the fuck are we doing with the stories? You got a weekly televised show. I don't want to sit through week-to-week televised programming and watch fucking nothing to watch. So you can have your jerked off fucking indie wrestling crap. If you want to do that, show it every couple of weeks or something. House of Glory ain't up your ass every fucking every week. They're on once a month. Fucking GCW's on every couple of weeks. They'll have a 3 events back to back to back, maybe on a weekend. They don't fucking jam shit this up your ass. They'll take a couple of weeks off GCW and then they'll come back with a couple of more episodes of events. They don't do this bullshit. Week to week programming with no... What is the point of a week-to-week television show with no story? That is the point of a week-to-week televised show. If you want to be UFC-like, have it like the indie wrestling promotion formula. You don't need a weekly televised show for that. Jeez Louise, man. I swear on my life, if Jesus Christ went through what I just went through for as many hours as I did, I think we'd all be screwed. I don't think he'd want to be hung on a cross or crucified on a cross, whatever you want to say. It's just a joke, guys. I'm not literally shitting on God in any way. I wouldn't do that. It's just a joke. But point being is, that's how bad this is. That's how bad the wrestling industry is. I don't even know if I'm gonna get... Let's just get into these matches before I go on a tirade and never get to the fucking point of these matches. Like, literally. This is just terrible. I just can't believe that this shit is legal to be on television. I honestly, if I did not have my AEW subscription, which, by the way, I found out something, guys. You can actually purchase the My AEW without a VPN and stream the pay-per-view events without the VPN on. I actually was doing that today. So if you guys are interested in just spending $19.99 a month to watch the pay-per-views, and I do believe you can get access to the AEW Dynamite episodes as well, and you're interested in just doing it that way instead of using HBO Max. If you're not using HBO Max for anything else but AEW, I wouldn't be subscribed to the AEW or to the HBO Max, because there's really no point in it. It's kind of stupid to have to spend extra money to watch the weekly televised show while watching the pay-per-views on that, when you can have them all in one for only $19.99. The extra $3 or so is added to it because of taxes and fees, so it's like $22.88 total. So if you guys are interested in that, at least still being somewhat supportive of AEW, and not get your fucking eyes gouged out of your head for pay-per-view buys per month, which is $39.99 on HBO Max. Get the fuck out of here! This was not worth $39.99. Hell, this wasn't even worth $22.88. This shit sucked. Bad. Anyway, first match of the night, we had a 6-way match to determine the number one contender for the AEW International Championship. Speedball Mike Bailey won this match. Jack Perry was not the guy who won. I thought Jack Perry would win, but Mike Bailey was my second guess, and he was the guy who won the match. Do I care? No. Next, we had a tag team match with the Young Bucks defeating Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. I didn't get to catch all of this. I was having some sort of issues, and I think I was also having dinner, and I was doing the dishes, so I missed majority of this match. But the Young Bucks won, so I'm not going to really give a feeling on this, but I knew that the Young Bucks were going to win. I figured as much. And the reason being is because they were going after the AEW tag team titles, which later on in the show we got word that the Young Bucks will be facing Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Next we had Kyle Fletcher and Bandito in a singles match over the AEW International Championship. Decent match, not bad. Kyle Fletcher retained. I'd say this was a 3.5 out of 5 star match. The 6-way ladder match, I can give you guys a rating on that. I'd say that was a 3. It's just your normal, typical ladder match. Nothing special. The Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley, Will Ospreay match, I can't give you a rating on that because, like I said, I didn't really catch it because I was doing other things. Next, we have the Dogs with David Finlay and Clark Connors against the Bang Bang Gang, Jay White and Juice Robinson. This match went exactly the way I thought it would. The Dogs won. They were actually, I believe, underdogs in this. And yes, they won this match. I wasn't surprised because we know that David Finlay and Jay White are going to have a singles match at All In. And Juice Robinson took the L here by, I believe it was David Finlay. So, we still have the Jay White, David Finlay match still available to us where it would still be valuable and makes perfect sense. Next, we had the AEW TBS Women's Championship with Maya World versus Hikaru Shida, and Maya World ends up winning this match. I was very surprised. By the way, going back to the Dogs and Bang Bang Gang double chain tag team match, I thought this was fairly decent. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was not a bad match. Very enjoyable watch. Nothing bad about it, but a lot of this was just average shit. Nothing spectacular or great. The TBS Women's Championship, I give that a 3 out of 5 stars. Average match. Copeland and Christian Cage defending the tag team titles against Claudio Castagnoli and Pac. Okay match. Spear at the end with Pac being lifted up in the air. Or I think Pac jumped up in the air or something like that. And then Copeland speared him and got the 1, 2, 3. And that was the end of the match. I mean, 2.5 stars out of 5. I wasn't really... It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I'm not going to say just because I said 2.5 out of 5 was making the match. It just did not... It didn't intrigue me any. It just was... It seems like they were just forcing a match to take place for the AEW Tag Team titles for the sake of doing that, just so they can fill in a spot on the card. Which, honestly, it didn't need. Because, let's face facts. The show is long enough. Jesus Christ. I can't take this anymore. One show does very little, the other show does too much. Like, come on, when are we gonna meet in the middle here? This is insane. I'm sitting here on a Sunday night at 12:15 in the morning doing a fucking review on this garbage that shouldn't exist. I was even being a little bit optimistic, thinking that this show was going to be fairly entertaining. It didn't even meet that. This show sucked. Painmaker, Chris Jericho going up against Tommaso Ciampa in a no-holds-barred match. Very entertaining matchup. This was actually probably the best match on the entire card, honestly. As crazy as that might sound. Yeah, I didn't think anything bad of it. I thought it was a good match. I think it was definitely pay-per-view quality matchup. I love the addition of the hockey pucks with the thumbtacks on them. That was pretty fucking cool. The sandpaper thing on Jericho and Tommaso Ciampa was kind of entertaining to see. They were pretty gruesome and violent as hell. I thought this match was actually by far the best match, and I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. This was a really entertaining matchup. It made neither guy look bad in this match, and I thought they were great together. Tommaso and Chris Jericho have done a great job in these last 2 matches. They gel very well together, in my opinion. A lot of fun to watch these 2 guys. 4 out of 5 stars easily. Andrade El Idolo defeating Mark Davis, as I already mentioned, for the AEW National Championship. Fairly decent matchup. Nothing too bad. Nothing too shabby. I thought it was fine. 3 out of 5 stars, actually. Willow Nightingale and Tekla for the AEW Women's Championship. This ending to this match sucked royally. I couldn't stand it. It was just a roll-up pinfall. Tekla's run as champion ended from a roll-up pinfall. Are we watching the same show? Is this AEW or WWE? I'm getting confused. Because usually in a WWE show, a lot of times they'll show those type of endings. This is on pay-per-view. People are actually trying to purchase this shit for $39.99 because they're AEW tribalistic psychos. And you give them an ending like this? Willow Nightingale winning the title wasn't the huge problem. I mean, I was more towards Tekla retaining and Mercedes Moné turning babyface at some point leading up to the All-In pay-per-view would have been the perfect move in my opinion. But we didn't get that. We keep Mercedes Moné as a heel, and Willow Nightingale is going into the pay-per-view event as champion. I have no fucking clue where we're going with this. We're going to give Willow Nightingale possibly a short run, or we're going to have Mercedes Moné take another L over a AEW Women's World title, which at this point, I think at this point we should just get it over with and give her the fucking title and see what she can do with it. But what do I know? I'm just here talking at a camera and doing an audio format and talking out of my ass, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I may not have billions of dollars, but I do have logic in my fucking head, and this show is not needed. At all. None. Beach Break should have been our fucking pay-per-view event. We should have had it in Clearwater. It would have been a perfect setup. The environment looked cool as hell. Could have had it on a fucking beach in the middle of daytime. Just have a little roof over it. Something. Anything. No, we couldn't do that. Of course, we couldn't do that, Tony Khan. We couldn't. We had to waste our time here in Canada. And by halfway through, the fans were so fucking quiet, you could hear a pen drop from time to time. This is $39.99 for your money, folks. I hope that all of you miss this event or try to watch it in other means. Because if you wasted $39.99 of your money, you just made the worst investment of your entire life. Outside of maybe investing in the stock market where it crashes. That's about the only other thing you can think that's worse than investing in this fucking ratchet-ass pay-per-view event. But, yeah, this was definitely not worth Tony Khan's time. These wrestlers put themselves through hell. For what? For what? For a show that meant nothing. Absolute fucking waste of everyone's time. I don't get it. I don't know what Tony Khan's smoking. But he needs to snap out of it and get his head in the fucking game. Because this shit, it sucks. Match 2 out of 5 stars with Willow Nightingale defeating Tekla. I thought the ending of this was absolutely horrendous. Kenny Omega defeating Kevin Knight to retain his AEW World title. I thought this was okay. It wasn't great. Could have been on a fucking Dynamite episode. That's how bad of a main event this was. I think Kyle Fletcher and Adam Hangman Page last year at All Out for a title match was better than this. I look at Kyle Fletcher more of a future world champion than Kevin Knight will ever be. Kevin Knight is mid-card shit. He is never going to reach that pinnacle level. He is not that kind of guy. I'm sorry. He's a tag team specialist, and he's a good mid-card player. Until I can see otherwise to say different, right now at this time, I do not see him as main event quality. He was not needed at this event. He is not in the situation to be claimed as a challenger for the world title. He has not spent but a cup of coffee in the Don Callis family. Kyle Fletcher went through character changes. He had his hair shaved. He turned on Will Ospreay. He had matches with Will Ospreay and had a victory over Will Ospreay against a guy who is one of their top stars on the roster. Before he ever even challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship. So, my attitude's real simple. Kyle Fletcher was more deserving than Kevin Knight to earn a shot at a fucking title. And secondly, I've said this before, MJF did not say he would give him a world title shot for joining the group to do a 6-man steel cage match. He said if the team won, him and Knight's team won, he'd give him a world championship match instead of Mark Briscoe. They lost. Mark Briscoe's team won. He earned his shot. Mark Briscoe lost, and that was that. End of story. And then all of a sudden we go to Kevin Knight to fill in a spot because MJF can't do redemption or didn't want to? Are we fucking joking here? If I was Tony Khan, this is what I'd have said to MJF. MJF, we need you for this pay-per-view. It's called Redemption for a reason. Kenny Omega needs his redemption. You are kind enough to pass that title over to him. I greatly appreciate you doing that. But to do that here at this show, no. We can't do it. It will kill our pay-per-view buys. You are a pay-per-view buyer. People are going to want to see you wrestle at this event. It's going to give it more meaning. It's going to have more of a purpose. And we can build a story off of that for the remaining weeks we got left till we get to Redemption. That's what I would have done as Tony Khan. I wouldn't have allowed MJF to convince me to say, oh, yeah, okay, sure. I wouldn't have done that. Sorry. I would have had Tommaso Ciampa and Chris Jericho as the main event of that Clearwater Beach break bullshit. And that's what I would have done for my main event for that show and built a little into the Will Ospreay MJF story. One problem, I wouldn't have taken the fucking title off of MJF. I'd have had him going into All In as champion against MJF. Or against Will Ospreay. But I'm not booking the show, so we're not getting what we want. We're not getting what makes sense. It's not even what we want. It makes sense. But here we are. So enjoy the ride. Enjoy the build towards All In. And I love you, brother. I love you too, brother. And here we go. SummerSlam reenacted for All In, guys. I hope you enjoy the ride. It's gonna suck ass. Anyway, at this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. I thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys. Bye.